one's too weak. Oh no. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 22, Text 26, Translation. Upon becoming fixed in his attachment to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, by the grace of the Spiritual Master, and by awakening knowledge. Purport. It is said that both the Jivatma, the individual soul, and the Paramatma live together within the heart. In the Vedic version, it is stated, Hridikhyayam Atma, the soul and supersoul both live within the heart. The individual soul is liberated when it comes out of the material heart or cleanses the heart to make it spiritualized. The example given here is very appropriate. Yonim ivotito gnihi. Agni or fire comes out of the wood, and by it the wood is completely destroyed. Similarly, when a living entity increases his attachment for the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he is to be considered like fire. A blazing fire is visible by its exhibition of heat and light. Similarly, when the living entity within the heart becomes enlightened with full spiritual knowledge and detached from the material world, he burns up his material covering of the 5 elements, earth, water, fire, air, and sky, and becomes free from the 5 kinds of material attachments, namely ignorance, false egoism, attachment to the material world, envy, and absorption in material consciousness. Therefore, Panchatmakam, as mentioned in this verse, refers to either the 5 elements or the 5 coverings of material contamination. When these are all burned into ashes by the blazing fire of knowledge and detachment, one is fixed firmly in the devotional service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Unless one takes shelter of a bona fide spiritual master and advances his attraction for Krishna by his instructions, the 5 coverings of the living entity cannot be uncovered from the material heart. The living entity is centered within the heart, and to take him away from the heart is to liberate him. This is the process. One must take shelter of a bona fide spiritual master, and by his instruction increase one's knowledge in devotional service, become detached from the material world, and thus become liberated. An advanced devotee therefore does not live within the material body, but within his spiritual body, just as a dry coconut lives detached from the coconut husk, even though within the husk. The pure devotee's body is therefore called Chinmaya Sharira, spiritualized body. In other words, a devotee's body is not connected with material activities, and as such, a devotee is always liberated. Brahma Bhuyaya Kalpate, Bhagavad Gita 14.26. This is confirmed in Bhagavad Gita. Srila Rupa Goswami also confirms this. Iha yasya harer dasye karmana manasa vacha nikilas vyapyavastasu jivan mukta sauchyate. One who is engaged fully with his body, mind and speech in the service of the Lord is liberated even within this body despite his condition. Yadarati pramani naishtiki puman acharyavan gyana viraga ramhasa dahatya viryam hridayam jivakusham panchatmakam yonimivoti tognihi. Upon becoming fixed in his attachment to the Supreme Personality of Godhead by the grace of the Spiritual Master and by awakening knowledge and detachment, the living entity situated within the heart of the body and covered by the 5 elements, burns up his material surroundings exactly as fire, arising from wood, burns the wood itself. So in in the Bhagavatam there is many metaphors, and last night I found there is this website called Veda.cz. It's a Czechoslovakian devotee. He's running this, and so he has how it's called in English. It's not metaphors, but I forgot. Analogies, yes, analogies. Yeah, analogies. So there is, it says Prabhupada's analogies, and then all the analogies that he has, somebody has compiled, all the analogies that he has given in the scriptures. I don't know if this one is there, which is in this verse, because, I mean, Bhagavatam is big. So, but here's the analogy of the wood, that the fire comes from the wood, but then it burns the wood also. So that it's appropriate that to know that actually that burning of the attachment to matter is coming from the power of the soul and the super soul. And it is said here that along with the soul, the super soul is in the heart. So when the living entity comes to the material world, then the super soul accompanies him and follows him and continues to be there as a guide and as a friend. And even devotee wants to enjoy the material world, the super soul is actually helping with that, giving intelligence, giving knowledge, remembrance, forgetfulness. So the super soul and the soul are described as two birds on the tree. One is trying to enjoy the fruits of the tree, that's the individual soul, and then another is observing and waiting when this soul will turn towards him so that he can get guidance, he can get good guidance. So can you imagine how much love someone has to be always with a person and to help this person to achieve what he or she wants. And so Krishna has unconditional love for us because he follows us and he watches all of our activities which are meant to forget him, which are meant to have a relationship with someone else. So imagine that you love someone, you are in love with someone, and this person tells you, please help me to be with someone else. So how would you feel? Please help me to be with this person, with other person. And now if you have unconditional love, like gopis, then you say, okay, I help you to be with this person, this other person. Because you will be happy with this other person, I am also happy. So this is unconditional love. So we are praying to God, please help me to find a partner, to find a good partner with whom I can have a loving relationship, and he is happy with that. But he is also spoiling it. I mean, it's not he that is spoiling it, but it's the nature of the conditioning and of the material world. Relationships could be good if people wouldn't be selfish. So, but because they are very selfish, they have a big ego, that people fight. And it's very difficult to have a loving relationship with anybody, whether it's a wife or children or anybody, because there is always false ego involved. But on the spiritual platform, there is no false ego. There is only real ego, which is always meant to serve Krishna. And no one in the history has given such knowledge as Srila Prabhupada about the false ego. people speak about ego in the material world. Maybe you have heard. They start to recognize that there is ego, that it's an obstacle. I mean, there is a book called Egonomics. Egonomics is a book that describes how the ego of the director or of the CEO is actually spoiling the business of the company, because his decisions are based on his pride and his big knowledge, but he also makes mistakes. And then they have done research that the less ego the leader has, the better business company has. So people speak about the false ego, but nobody understands the false ego so scientifically as Srila Prabhupada has given. Scientific understanding of the conditioning, scientific understanding of the false ego. Ahankara. What does it ahankara mean? Ahankara, I'm the doer. I'm the doer. So, if we understand that we are conditioned by this false ego, then we can work on it. We can understand what would be the action based on the soul and what would be the action based on the false ego. And we don't say ego, people say ego. Ego means identity, so ego is not bad. But we say very clearly false ego, false identification with this body. So this is the difference. But people are gradually understanding concepts, different concepts, like concept about ego is a good concept. And like one guy, he is sick, turban.
Sick.
Yeah, sick. He doesn't wear a turban, but he's just typical American. But his name is Mahan. He's from that tradition. So he has created 8 principles of decision making, or of business, or of success. And can you imagine, the first principle is check your ego at the door. Check your false ego at the door. When you go into meeting, into discussion, into dealing with employees, into dealing with colleagues, into dealing with superiors, check your ego at the door. So I think for devotees also, it would be good to, when they do anything, to actually check the false ego at the door. Because the false ego is a great obstacle to being Krishna conscious and to acting in a Krishna conscious way. So Shastra is promising, we sometimes lose hope. When will my material desires stop? When will my inclination to enjoy the body and the material world stop? We sometimes lose this hope. But here, and in some other examples, there is a promise that actually it can be burnt completely. It can be destroyed. It can be destroyed. But it can be destroyed only by the mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is within the heart. Who is within the heart. So, let's say you say to someone, you are in my heart. But if you are Krishna conscious, you tell them, well, if you are in my heart, there is me, or my soul, or I as a soul, but there is also a super soul. So you have God there also. So if somebody is in your heart, they are also with God. So they benefit by being close to God. And nobody is closer, nobody can get closer to us as God. So if somebody hugs us, then we think, oh, this person is very close to me. But actually, this person cannot come closer to the soul. But super soul is close to the soul, the closest. So he remains so close, but at the same time he gives us free will to do whatever we like in this material world. Can you imagine that? I mean, can you go with a person that you would like to love you and follow that person and see how they are trying to love somebody else, or they are have a relationship with somebody else? Who can do that? I mean, this is why he is God, because he can do impossible things. So this is just completely outrageous if somebody can do that. That means also he is detached. But at the same time, he wants us. And nobody actually wants you more, or will want you more, than God. Nobody wants to have more relationship, and more loving relationship than God. He wants to have with you. But we are still looking for a perfect partner. We are dreaming we will find a perfect partner and have a perfect romantic relationship. And Prabhupada says, no, you can have this only with God. And we don't believe it. We think, but maybe, at least a little bit. Okay, I put God in the center, but I have to have my wife, I have to have my husband, and be happy. And Krishna says, sorry, but it's not possible. Sorry, it's not possible. Sorry, I'm just, you want to close it? No, you can close it.
Not open.
I don't know. If you're not cold, I'm always for air.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Can you open it completely for a couple of seconds?
Yeah.
No.
It's a good.
It's more efficient.
No, better don't. Don't do this. No.
Don't do.
No.
Okay.
This also not.
That's okay. That's
Okay.
okay. I mean, air will come. You see, you cannot please everyone. So I'm misusing my position to get air from the half open or something. So it's incredible what Krishna is doing with us. If we can understand, okay, Srila Prabhupada asked us to understand Krishna. We can understand his attitude towards us and his love and his unconditional love, then we start to appreciate him more. That he loves me so much. I mean, he loves me so much. And most people, they just want something from God. So therefore, in all religions, except in this strange religion called Hare Krishna, people pray, God give me something. But we pray, God please accept something from me. So it's a really strange religion. Everything is upside down. And then people say, oh, well, he has everything, why should we offer something to him? He has too much, because he possesses all opulence. And then, if we give to God, we will have nothing for ourselves. These material conceptions are going there. And we are always distracted. Not distracted, but distracted. I think Radhanath Maharaj speaks about the weapons of mass distraction. It's not destruction. It's not when you destroy something, but distraction means you deviate your attention. And the weapons of mass distraction is like smartphones or laptops or like screens, different kinds of screens always. So we are so cursed, so unfortunate that we always look for something else. And now these smartphones, they are perfect for distraction. I mean, you sit with someone, but you're not satisfied, so you're looking for something else on the screen. Maybe somebody sent you a message, and you find some happiness in that message. And the person in front of you is feeling neglected. They want maybe your attention or want to speak to you, but you are looking for something else or someone else. So sometimes when I have a session or something, I say, please turn off your phone and focus on this conversation. So, as we have been in the material world for so long, we always find a way to distract our attention from God and to give our attention to something else or somebody else. But there is always something else that we are looking for, and not what we have in front of us. Or someone else. And even devotees, sometimes they like to worship the demigods, and they put Lord Shiva and Lakshmi because they always have lack of money, so they put picture of Lakshmi or a deity of Lakshmi. And although Prabhupada said we should not worship demigods, but they think, well, I need Lakshmi, what can I do? I need Lakshmi for service, so they want to worship Lakshmi. Shiva is also, I'm in Tamaguna, so Shiva is in charge of people in Tamaguna, so Shiva will help me. And he is also the best of the Vaishnavas, and he is also the Mahajan. But Prabhupada didn't say that we worship Lord Shiva. We respect Lord Shiva, but we don't worship him. I mean, we can worship him as a Vaishnava, but not as a demigod. But even that, he didn't establish worship of Lord Shiva. So there is always something else, there is always someone else. We are experts in distracting ourselves because we don't have a taste. We don't have a taste. This is our unfortunate misfortune. We don't have a taste. There's always something else. Oh, I need this and I need that. But when somebody has a taste, then he's not distracted. The other day I asked one devotee, we had a session, and I said, what is it when you do, the time stops? What is it when you do it, time stops? So that means you're completely absorbed. Nothing else exists because you're so focused, you're so engaged, you are so happy to do this. You get so much pleasure that time stops. You lose the sense of time because you are so focused. You're so focused. You're so happy to do this. And then the devotee said something. So you can ask yourself, when are you most absorbed? So some people are most absorbed when they see something like a video, and sometimes people post like a dog doing an amazing thing. Or maybe you have found yourself watching like this completely with rapt attention. Bhagavatam says rapt attention. And you watch yourself watching the dog doing some crazy thing with rapt attention, or a small kid doing a thing with rapt attention. Nowadays you have these kids who are geniuses. Like there is a little girl, 4 years old, she already knows about science. She knows all the elements, all these material elements. And she was probably a scientist in her past life. So that's you're watching like this. Or if you see, I don't know, the member of the opposite sex, which is attractive, then you're like this for at least for a few seconds. Completely absorbed, like time has stopped. So devotee actually has this kind of absorption with Krishna, and he's attracted with discussions about Krishna. I have given so many Bhagavatam classes, and I have seen so many devotees sleeping. And you may say, but they are sleeping because your lectures are boring. Okay, that may be true. Well, I have an argument. They sleep in other classes too. Actually, some people sleep in all classes. You have like amazing speaker who is just really animated and even screaming, but they still sleep in his class. So it's not only in my class that people sleep. So sometimes I say that I'm proud that people become so peaceful in my class that they actually get into like nidra meditation. They get really like in a deep, almost it's deep sleep. So at least there is some effect of the class. They become peaceful and they relax. They become relaxed. Then another effect of the class is that the people sometimes laugh so much that they cannot control themselves, so they have to get out. Sometimes you have to be careful if you make jokes in classes, because some people cannot control themselves and they ruin the whole class because they laugh like crazy. So, our goal is actually samadhi, which means complete absorption in the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But you can be only absorbed in something or someone. If you are attracted, then you can be absorbed. Otherwise, you cannot be absorbed. And now we are trying to be attracted to God, and we actually were, how you say, we are disattracted. You have to ask for permission.
Oh, yes?
No. Yes, it's true, but it's okay. You have a dhoti, that's nice.
Thank you.
First time I see you in dhoti. So now you see, we are trying to do the impossible. We voluntarily left Krishna. And now we are trying to voluntarily go back to Krishna. And we were distracted or unattracted, and now we are trying to get attracted to Him. So this sounds like an impossible thing to do. But Acharyas say that by hearing about the Lord, you will get this attraction again. And by associating with devotees who are attracted. And people who are trying to enjoy the material world, when they see the devotees, they're intrigued. They're, thinking, why these people are so happy? They must be on drugs. They may be on drugs. Then they realize that we are very strict about intoxication. They learn that we are strict about intoxication, that we are not on drugs, that we have something else. Then they understand, wow, they are attracted to Krishna. Who is Krishna? And why they have so much bliss. And they become, they become intrigued. They become curious. They become curious. That, what is this? What is this? Let me try something. And then they start to chant jokingly, or maybe to imitate devotees. But then they don't understand. Even if they chant jokingly, they actually get infected by the virus of Krishna consciousness. So in Krishna consciousness, we want to become attracted to the essence of life, and that's Krishna, our God, essence of life, and the reservoir for pleasure. The reservoir for pleasure. So thank you very much for listening. Do you have any questions? Yes?
You said that ahankar means we falsely think that I am the doer, and at the same time Krishna is giving this free will to all the living souls, all the living entities. So you also mentioned at the end that voluntarily we left Krishna and voluntarily we are trying to go closer to Krishna. So how does both the statements coincide? Like I'm not the doer, at the same time it's on me to go closer to Krishna willingly.
There is, in the purport of the Bhagavad Gita, actually it says that the soul is the doer. But the thing about being not the doer is that you are not the only doer. For example, you can do something, but the result doesn't depend only on you. Your effort will bring about the result, but actually the permission to get the result is coming from the Lord. Then another thing is that the Lord is providing you with the body, He is providing you with intelligence, He is providing you with everything to do what you want to do. So in that sense, you cannot take credit. You cannot take full credit that you are the only doer. And like these success philosophies that we have in the world, practically all of them, they teach you that you are the only doer. The law of attraction, The Secret, the book The Secret, the law of attraction. is about you attracting things by how you think and how you feel and how you envision. They don't say there is a higher power. They don't give credit to the higher power. So that's false, that's wrong. And it says in one purport, karta means the doer, and the soul acts through the senses and tries to accomplish things. So my understanding is that we are not the only doer. We are the doer, but we are not the only doer. That's why it is explicitly or emphatically stated that we are not the doer. In a sense, we are not. In a sense, we have been given everything from the Lord. Even we belong to Him, and we belong to Him. So anything that we have, both spiritual and material energy, it's coming from Him. He is the ultimate doer. But we have a free will, and He is giving us a field of activities. He's giving us a field of activities. He is giving us the body with which to act. He is giving us the mind with which to think. He is giving us intelligence with which to make decisions. And therefore we give credit to Him. But also there is a mistake. So I'm not a doer, so I can kill people and God is responsible. This is a misuse of that point in philosophy. So people can misuse the philosophy to again act in a conditioned way. So this we will discuss in our preaching seminar, preaching discussions. We will discuss how not to misuse the philosophy. Okay, that's the best I can do. I can say. Okay, one more question. Yes.
What Krishna sees before sanctioning the results?
What Krishna?
Or what Krishna analyzes or sees, like you said, Prabhuji, now that we do the action part and the result, it depends on Krishna. So how Krishna, on what it depends that Krishna sanctions a particular kind of result, good or bad?
It depends on your activities. When you will get a good or bad result, your karma, your desires. He takes into consideration your desires, but your desires, they bring you, your desires are the cause of your action, and then your action is the cause of results, or the cause also of your karma. Because every action brings reaction, every action brings karma, so your activities bring you karma, and according to this you get results. And of course He has created the law of karma, and for this you get that, and for this you get that. But He is also making it clear in the scriptures for which action you get which result. And now we can choose whether to act piously or impiously. And all over the world people have this choice, because they also have scriptures. They have scriptures from other religions. Other religions also have scriptures, and they also say there is pious activities and there is impious activities. So you can always do this or that. Okay, thank you. Srila Prabhupada ki.
Jai.